Welcome back to Spiritual Contemplations. In today's video, we're going to be talking about what is the goal of man in relation to God. So I was having a conversation a bit earlier with my sister about what is the goal of man and are we eventually supposed to become gods? And it derived from a topic that if we are the children of Israel, what does the adults of Israel look like? And it's a bit philosophical, but there's some practicality and there's some realistic aspects to it that is, food for thought. So, if the goal of a parent is to raise a child, so that child can then become a good adult, eventually become a parent, and the cycle continues. And so, if we are the children of Yah, would that not mean that Yah is raising us to be versions of himself, extensions of himself, which by definition or by extension will also make us gods? And then the question becomes, okay, what type of God? Because there's different types of gods. I think God is whatever is a thing you devote your life to aim at, to achieve. And so, when talking about gods, you have gods of greed, you have gods of sex, you have gods of lust, gods of money, gods of war, gods of you name it. You can become a god now. And I think the Hebrew means that you're becoming gods in everything that is life-giving. But it's interesting because when you think about the concept of I'm a spiritual being living a human experience, you think, okay, we're children, even as an adult now, as a young adult now, I'm 21, I'm still in the eyes of God, a child. So what does this process look like? And then we start talking about spirituality. And the best example, or the best way I can make this make sense in my head was, you have this thing called Mr. Olympia, right? There's a guy called Chris Bumstead. And he basically has, according to everybody, the perfect physique, right? So that's like the physical. So the perfect physical physique. But what does the perfect spiritual physique look like? Does that make sense? What does the perfect spiritual physique look like? The perfect emotional physique look like? The perfect mental physique? Because we can get down to the physical. I think that's the gateway to the other mental, spiritual, and emotional. Mental, spiritual, emotional. Yes. Let's talk about perfect physique. I think the physical physique is the gateway. Like they say, your body is a temple. So once you're able to build the right temple, you can now house the things that you need to build within that temple. That makes sense. And how do you go about from the physical, from the perfect physical physique, how do you go about that now, that emotional perfect physique, where you're in emotional balance, where life can throw things at you and your emotions don't just go with the wind. You have emotional control, We're talking about spirituality. And this is the part where I think having those systems in place, having those social systems in place, allows you to be in sync with things that are already existing. I don't have to necessarily go find that spiritual perfect physique, because I was born into the kingdom of God, and that gave me already a leg up in that regard. The physical stuff, the emotional stuff, the mental stuff, those are things we all have to work on. And I think some of these things are individual, but others are more social. So you can't reach the peak of Mount Everest by yourself, because it takes a village to raise a child, just like it takes a community of people to make sure that, okay, socially you like this, mentally, and also keep you balanced. So when you're doing something that's out of character, which is very natural, very okay to do, having people around you to go, hey man, you can do a lot better than that. Oh, hey man, you do a lot better than that. You shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Oh, hey man, I really appreciate you. You know, again, balance, not always like, putting you down, but always, having somebody that's looking at you, man, I really appreciate you. Keeping that balance. But that's more the emotional stuff. And I think the spiritual stuff goes a lot deeper than just what we are used to. They say King Solomon was able to speak to angels and demons, but he's also able to speak to animals. And so I think a level of spirituality is being able to not only notice and not only be able to see different frequencies and vibrations, but also be able to tap into them. Sound is just a frequency. And so the sound that a dog makes, the sound that birds make, the sound that dogs, horses, lions, anything that makes noise, they operate on a certain frequency. So being able to tap into, but not only tap into, understand what those frequencies are, what they mean, and how to move a certain type of way around that. That's a level of spirituality that we just not used to, that we haven't gotten to, that we've lost. And so there's so much more, and we can't just get stuck on that, because who knows the upper limits of that type of power, of that type of understanding. But I think we first get the physical, then the emotional, then the spiritual, and everything else kind of falls in place that way. And I think once you're able to tap into those frequencies and vibrations, and it was Nikola Tesla who said if you want to understand the universe, master or study frequencies and vibrations, because you have an understanding of how the universe actually works. And I think when you have that deeper understanding of how the universe actually works, you're far closer to understanding or having an understanding of how it would be like to be a God. And it's the type of God that you aspire to be like that will pursue you in a certain direction. And so I do think that we are made to be gods. But we're gods of what? God's governed by Yah, like men governed by Yah. And the term men isn't necessarily of the male species. For any, for those who might be like, oh man, no. Because God gave, or Yah gave, instructions to man. And it's the responsibility of man to tell women and children. And so when women and children don't do what's instructed upon them by Yah, it's not them that get punished, it's man. Because you are the conduit between Yah and your family. The man is the conduit. And that has a lot of responsibility, because if things go bad, trust me, and they will, it's man who's held accountable and held responsible. And that's not a light burden to carry. And a lot of times, it becomes a lot, carrying that boulder, carrying that responsibility on your back, going uphill. But, that's why you're not doing it alone. That's why you have your wife, you have brotherhood. And I heard somebody say that, well, if you have your wife's back, who has your back? I think that's where the faith in Yah comes in. It's like, oh, I'll make sure my family's good, who's making sure I'm good, or Yah's gonna make sure I'm good. And that's a lot of faith, and that's been really hard for me to do, because I've experienced not seeing other people take care of certain responsibilities, and it was put on me, but also taken up by me, to be the person to take care of those responsibilities, no matter what, at the cost of my mental health, my emotional development, my, childhood stuff. It shaped who I was, it shaped who I am. But now being able to say, hey, I trust in Yah that this isn't gonna be that kind of situation where I stop doing and expect somebody else to, because then I'm putting the same burden on someone else that was put on me. And that's just not fair. But I think the way it happens is sometimes sometimes when you ask for strength, yeah, he doesn't make your muscles big. He puts a lot of challenges in front of you. That way you learn endurance. You learn how to get up when you kick down. And he also puts people around you to help you along the way in that process. He puts people around you that help pick you up, that motivate you when you're down. Because if the end result is for us to become gods, we have to understand what the role of gods is. If we can't run amok around the universe like we do around the world, I mean, just to think if what's happening here on this planet was happening on every other planet in our solar system, boy oh boy, it's a hard thought to think what Mzungus might do then. But it's on us to be better. That way we can inspire better. And that's tough. You know, sometimes it sucks. Because you end up being better even at your own detriment in the moment. But in the long run, there's this potential for greatness. But you have to endure the sucky part first. You have to keep enduring and enduring. And when you measure success by days or weeks or months, you look like you failed. You look like you haven't gone anywhere. You know, if I look at my life, you know, Yatio and the beginning of 2024, where's Yatio now? I'd be like, wow, I've gone nowhere. That's right. But if you compare Yatio from 15 to Yatio at 21, man, the progression is immense. It's incalculable. I'm talking about physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally. It's progressed to a pace where it's I'm actually done something. I'm actually ready to put this thing off. But you have to also be reminded of that and remind yourself of that. You know, give yourself some grace. Because if the goal is reach, God status, God tier, you have to first get past being a man. And inadequate season, trial and tribulations that go along with that. And maybe not me, but if the spirit of Yatziel stays alive forever, and somebody with the spirit of Yatziel reaches there, it's just as good as I reach there. Because who's to say without my spirit, then that would have been achieved. And so I don't look at the concept of everlasting life or the concept of reaching that level of God as, you have to deal in this physical form, in this physical, experience. And however amount of years I live, that's gonna reach that level. No. This concept of a yellow brick road that I live by, where my parents started off here on this yellow brick road, and they had a bunch of stuff before them, and their goal was just to raise me to not have these experiences, and so to put me here, right? And all of this stuff might have been flawed and might have gone through stuff and this, that, and the other. That's life, really. But it wasn't this. It wasn't what they went through. It wasn't the traumas. It wasn't the crazy things that they had to go through. It wasn't that. And so I was able to live here and in the kingdom and vegan and I'm smart and I'm pretty handsome in it. But the point is you put people at this level of lifestyle, of living, but it's far better than what you had. And so in regards to this yellow brick road of getting to that unknown destination of what I think being a God is, my goal is simply to live my life the best way I can in accordance to Yah. That way, once I'm able to have children, I'm able to give them this. And this in between here is they don't have to worry about finances. They don't have to worry about some of the things that I have to worry myself about. My parents got out of trauma. I'm worried about building, and I'm trying to teach my children, okay, how to build and also sustain. And maybe their children will do the same and do the same and do the same. I don't know the extent to which that might go through. I don't. But what I do know is my goal is to just pay it forward and be the best version I can be, so the likelihood of success is higher. I don't need to take the traumas that my parents spent their life getting away from, so I can give that to my children. Because then it would make their sacrifice worthless. And that's just wrong. And so I have a responsibility to be better because somebody got better for me to exist and for me to be here now. And I think with that concept being consistently push and push and push, I think if we all did that, I don't know the upper limits of it, but I do think it might be very demanding. I do believe that it'll be far greater than what we are. And I think the goal of parents is to create something that's the best version of yourself, even if it is unknown. Yeah. So we gotta be honest. We gotta think how we're gonna is this something that God would say that God would do? And then the question is, what kind of God he would be? You gotta be a God. You will be a God. You're creating a God. You are a God. So what type of God you want to be? And I think in attempting to be something, you are becoming and simultaneously are that thing at the same time. And so people say, I'm getting rich. I am rich because in an attempt to become something, you be that thing. That makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. You know, it's an odd concept that you are, but yet becoming something at the same time. And when you become, you're just pushing the goalposts to some degree. You know, it's like being an adult, or trying to be an adult when I was younger was just me being an adult. But now that I am an adult, there's this idea of what an adult is in my head that's in the future. I'm simultaneously that and I'm becoming that together. And it's tied to like this invisible string. You know, and I think 120-year-old Yatiliel, he's, I'm trying to make him proud, you know, because he made our bloodline a lot closer to being with God. And that's just satisfaction. And you might not get to the top of Mount Everest. But the best thing is you help somebody get there. You can just don't know. That's where faith comes in. Also, having faith that what you're doing is right, what you're doing does matter. Everything matters. It all matters. It sucks. Because if it didn't matter, it'd be a lot easier, right? Oh, right, it would be so much easier. But everything worth having is challenging to get. So, what's worth having for you? You gotta have something. You're gonna be something. What that is completely up to you. Just like you're gonna become God. You're pushing some God. Which one? And I'll say this, and this is something I recently rediscovered, just like I sat on meditating on. And then in the infinite possibilities of the universe, beyond mind dictated that there is only two outcomes. And that is, in the essence, what the Yah mind is. The ability to see that there are only two outcomes to any action, to any words, to any things you eat, everything you eat, everything you say, everything you do. There are only two outcomes: life-giving and opposite. And you have to be able to see, okay, where does this lead to? And that's the Yah mind. You be able to see where does this lead to, and is that my desired outcome? And if not, y'all blessed it. Y'all got it. If you like these kind of videos, drop a like, give me a subscribe, please subscribe, comment anything that you might think is interesting, that some of the thoughts that pop up in your head when I'm talking.